Yeah, this is Michael. You have a local number. You're here local.
Yes, I'm from Pueblo.
Oh, okay. And so you know Patrick and Kelsey through the rodeo somehow?
Yes, my fiance actually roped with Patrick. Um, my fiance's been roping for years, and so I mean they've roped together for, gosh, 5 or 6 years.
So when you say they've roped together, are like team roped together where they were on the same team, or were they like competitors?
Well, sometimes both. Sometimes we would go to a roping. It was never. At first, it was never really planned. Like we would just run into Patrick, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, we should rope together." So then they would enter together because
Okay.
Patrick was a header, and my fiance is a healer.
So do you know what number they are? Do you know like cuz I used to team rope. I wondered, what was Patrick as a header? Was he like a 1, a 3, a 5? Do you know any of that?
I believe my fiance is a 4. I'm not sure what Patrick is. I think he was a little bit higher ranked than my
Okay.
fiance.
Yeah, so but they did team rope together at some point, even if it wasn't a planned deal. They showed up at a rope and was like, "Hey, let's enter this roping."
Yes, and then as time went on, Patrick had introduced us to Kelsey in 2016 at a roping in Springs. They had said that they had just met, and her and I hit it off real quick. And it's really strange because I'm kind of a quiet person, and I get the vibe that she's kind of a quiet person too. But yeah, she was just such a sweetheart. We started talking right away. So as our friendship went on, we would plan ropings with them. My fiance would call Patrick or vice versa, and we would meet up, or we'd go to Trinidad together. We'd go to Springs together. We'd go up north.
Wow. When was the last time you saw Kelsey?
The last time I saw Kelsey was September of 2018.
So
It
so
was at a roping. It was the first time I had actually seen her since her daughter was born. And we had talked on the phone and stuff since then, but it was the first time that I had actually got to see Kaylee. So,
okay. So it just worked out that like once she got pregnant and didn't have or had the baby, she didn't maybe go to the ropings as much.
yeah, I don't think so. It was kind of, they were going through a hard time. I talked to Kelsey at a roping in Trinidad. I had just had my son. He was probably around 4 months old. And she was kind of talking to me about how she was having a hard time. She was staying at Patrick's on the weekends when she wasn't at pilot school. And Patrick's mom was constantly yelling, wanting Patrick to be doing chores. And if Patrick wasn't out there, she was just always screaming at them and screaming at Kelsey. And it actually ended up being that Patrick's mom wouldn't let Kelsey stay there anymore when she found out that Kelsey was pregnant.
Oh, really? And
Yeah.
so that's do you know what did she give you an answer or a reason for that?
She didn't. She said that Patrick was definitely a mama's boy. She felt like it was kind of like a weird jealousy thing, even. But Kelsey wasn't completely honest with her mom. And I don't blame her. She was raised in a religious home, and her parents had expectations, and they're not like harsh or mean people or by any means. But as growing up in a religious home, you want to please your parents, and so Kelsey never really told her mom about like the issues they were having. I mean, I know she mentioned to her mom that Patrick, would have like blowouts or whatever, but never really anything that was going on personal, like with his mom kicking her out and all of that.
Oh, so like, yeah, I would even wonder if her mom even knew they lived together because during the time, because you were saying she only stayed there on the weekends, so during the week she would come back to her condo here in Woodland Park.
This is before she had her condo in Woodland Park. She was, I believe she was staying in Springs. Don't mark my words on it, because this is kind of when we had just met, you know.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because she was doing in the DOS school. But
Yes.
okay, I see what. No, I think you're right. I think there is. I think she's only been in that condo only two years or so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was before all of that.
Okay. And then, but you just saw her just this last September 2018.
Yes.
And that was when, but this is when she told you that like her mom they wouldn't let her stay there on the weekends. Is that when that conversation happened or was that earlier?
No, that was earlier.
Oh,
That
I
was
got you.
like the first year that I had met her. Like I said, I had just had my first son, and he was about 4 months old.
I understand now.
So.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out that timeline. So this last time you met her, though, or seen her at the rodeo, since the first time she'd had the baby, what was she like? How was it?
You know, I kind of felt like something was wrong right when I had seen her. She was talking with another friend of ours, and I was sitting with my newborn because I had another child. So I was sitting with my newborn, and I was, just kind of had a weird feeling. Felt like she was upset. I didn't want to interrupt their conversation, so I kind of waited till they were done. And she was standing by the back of Patrick's trailer. I believe she was fixing up a bucket of water for Patrick's horse. And Patrick was in the arena or over waiting to rope, or he wasn't around at the time. And so I walked over to her, and, right away Kaylee lit up, her daughter, and I was getting her tummy, and I gave him a big old hug and told her that I was so excited to see her. And, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
She just was like real shaky, real on edge, and I kept asking, "Are you okay?" And Patrick had rode over on his horse, and he was really mad, and I assumed that he had just lost or, missed or whatever, or his partner maybe missed. I don't know exactly what happened, but he got off his horse, and his dog was right there. He kicked the dog really hard, and the dog just yelped and yelped probably for a minute straight. I crouched down to touch the dog and just yelped. And Kelsey was like, "I'm sorry, I gotta go." And she turned around and walked away. And that was the last time that I saw her.
And that was in September.
Yes. Kelsey had asked me over Messenger, several times, like, maybe we could get together for coffee, or maybe we can just hang out. It would be nice to have a friend. I don't know many people here. And, I had 2 pregnancies in 2 years, and they were rough. So I kick myself in the butt because I feel like I could have been a better friend to her. Her and Patrick, well, it was her. I know Patrick had nothing to do with it, but she had sent us a card congratulating us on our second baby. And she had put love, Kelsey, Patrick, and Kaylee, and she had sent a gift card. And it's just, after all of this happened, I knew Patrick had hurt her. After seeing, and I had seen him in rages before. This was not the first time. Before he was with Kelsey.
Just at the rodeo or something.
Yeah, my fiance was having problems with his truck one time and needed help. We went to IHOP with Patrick. This is, like I said, this was before Kelsey. And we couldn't get the truck to start, but we had already had the part to fix it. so Patrick offered to help Sam. And so they were out in the parking lot, and he was just like throwing tools around, like super mad. And Sam, my fiance, was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? And I said, oh yeah, I got it. And he ended up fixing the truck, but the whole time was just like, I was scared. I had, my children. He's obviously very mad.
Yeah. Wow. Did you ever? I'm sorry. I'm just catching up with you.
I know, and you know what? I'm sorry. I'm scattered all over the place.
No. I'm just
so
listening, I'm just listening and trying to take it all in. I know it's got to be pretty. Have you done any interviews with anyone else?
When all of this started, I am in contact with Kelsey's mom. She doesn't like the publicity and stuff like that, but I am in contact with her. When all of this started, she had asked if I would contact the police department and tell them, what I had witnessed, just with Patrick in the past. And so, yeah, I had spoken with an officer, and I had also written up an email about character because I felt like it was important.
Yeah. Did
the last time that we had contact with Patrick, it was my fiance, and Patrick had messaged him asking if we needed hamburger meat, if we had room. And this is really kind of unsettling, just because it was a month before Kelsey's disappearance. So, after finding out that Kelsey was missing, I got the weird vibes and everything, and I knew that he had hurt her, and I have this freezer full of hamburger, and it's unsettling, it's uneasy. But in October, he came down at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were sleeping, and he called, and he said, I'm sorry, I was supposed to meet up with you earlier, I can meet up now. So he met up at Kmart and gave us pounds of hamburger.
And this was in October?
Yes. And he said that he would also be bringing us steaks and whatever else we needed, he would bring.
Wow. Had you ever met Crystal?
I was watching and listening to the interview that you did with a woman that she had known, and throughout the video it's showing pictures of Crystal and stuff, and of course I've seen pictures of her time and time again, watching all everything going on. But I do believe that I saw her, and if I believe correctly, it had to have been in 2017. My son had March, April, May, June, July, maybe around August, and it was at a rope-in. And I will have to ask my fiance. We have pictures at this rope-in. I just don't exactly remember where it was at, but I remember seeing her, and I remember a little girl running, and I remember her chasing behind her.
So she very well could have come down and been at one of the rope-ins, and with that Kelsey wasn't at or something.
You know what? But I think I remember Kelsey being at this rope-in.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know if it was just kind of like an unknown thing, but yeah, I was trying to put those pictures together in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I did see her. I saw Crystal.
Yeah.
And I recall also seeing Patrick at that rope-in, and Kelsey was sitting next to me, and I don't remember him coming over a whole bunch. And the other rope-ins, it's pretty, I don't know, the guys rope and then they go over to that girl.
Yeah, no, I understand. But then, so now you're kind of just thinking to yourself of different things, like, oh, you're kind of thinking through what you remember because now you kind of know, and you're like, oh yeah, that maybe was the one he was standoffish, is what you're kind of saying.
Yes, and it's so weird to me. I'm like, wow, how crazy is it if he did have both of them at the same roping? And what if Crystal did know? I mean,
Yeah, what if they had already been I mean, this was 2000. You're saying this was in 2017 or sometime, or yeah,
it
so it
had to have
wasn't.
been, like, it was summer of 2017.
Yeah. Did your husband, when all this kind of happened, your side of the story, did Patrick, he didn't reach out, or nobody, you guys hadn't seen him since October, so you didn't see him after she went missing?
No, we didn't actually, but I was making my fiance, well, not making him, but I was pretty persistent about him texting Patrick. The day after we found out Kelsey was missing, I said, please text him and tell him that if he gets overwhelmed with Kaylee, that, Kelsey put her trust in me to watch her daughter, and if he needed anything, that I would come and get her, I would do whatever, and I knew that I wasn't ready to face Patrick, because I just wanted to grab him and ask him, like, why, and where is she, and what did you do to her? But I wanted him to know that he didn't have to hurt that baby girl, too.
Yeah.
And so we tried to play it cool. We tried to, tell him, Patrick, do you know what happened? Like, did you guys get in a fight? Did she take off? And his response was, I just don't know. And so the couple next following days, I had my fiance text him every day.
Oh, really?
Hey, just a reminder, or just letting you know if you need help, we're here.
Wow.
And he would say thanks. He was very short. Wouldn't really go into detail about anything.
Yeah. You've obviously already kind of said you already think one way. Is that what you think? Do you think the story that is coming out is what happened, or do you think it's, what do you think of Patrick and Crystal?
With the anger issues I've seen from Patrick, I believe that he personally hurt her. I do believe that Crystal is just as much to blame. She went to her house several times with the intentions of hurting her.
Yeah.
And, it kind of throws me off with the friend who lent her the car and the gun and the missing bullets, and that part throws me off, because who leaves a gun in the car, first of all?
Yeah.
Second of all, where's the bullets?
No.
I don't know.
What's a good story? I want to end this on a good story with about Kelsey. What's something that you remember that sticks out in your head, even if it was from earlier on, before issues and before problems? Is there anything that you can tell us about Kelsey that gives us a little more insight into her?
Yeah, I think I will always remember Kelsey's bright smile. Her smile could just light a place up. She was so kind and always willing to help. She, throughout my pregnancy, she was always, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What do you guys need? You guys call me if you need anything. She was very generous and kind-hearted. I can't imagine somebody doing such gruesome things to her. I wish I had one last opportunity to just talk to her. And I feel like she was reaching out to my fiance and I. She, in those pictures of those messages I sent you, she was asking us to do Bible studies with them. And in those messages, she's like, oh, we'll have to convince Patrick. And I just, like I said, I went through pregnancies and I couldn't be the friend that I needed to be for her.
Well, I want you to know that you don't need to carry what Patrick did or what Crystal did as that you didn't do something, because that's the last thing you need to carry. Even now, you don't need to carry that stress. And I used to tell people this. My wife went through 2 pregnancies in 15 months, and I used to tell her she gets a pass. You get a pass on everything. You get a pass on not answering your parents. You get a pass on not answering phone calls from friends. You get a pass on all that because you're a mother. That's what you were called to do at that moment. And so you have to release. You're going to have to release that. I know that it's hard right now because you're in the middle of it. And you're seeing everything so clearly now because of what you saw just a month before, and I wonder if, like, even the hamburger, I wonder if that wasn't Kelsey's prompting. It doesn't. Yeah, I wonder why he reached out. I wonder why Patrick reached out to give you guys meat, and I would even bet that was Kelsey's prompting. Like, that sounds more like something that her heart would be, and it was just Patrick answering Patrick having to do what Kelsey had said to do when they were doing their meat dividing or whatever. And so, don't think that. Don't give that to him and look at that meat as a bad thing, because that could have just been a generosity thing from Kelsey. And don't ever think of yourself as you didn't do something, because you can't carry that burden. You said something to me just now have you reached out to me on the underground?
Yes, I sent you a message to the underground, I believe.
Okay. There's so many unread messages. It just got skipped or passed. I apologize, because you said you sent me some screenshots or something. And
yeah, those screenshots are on the comments of the video of Crystal's friend, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had written on there and said, hey, I'm willing to interview, and I
gotcha.
Put those on there.
I gotcha.
Just because the first time I had reached out, I figured a lot of people have reached out to you, so I didn't, I wanted you to know that I'm serious. Like, I really do know Kelsey.
I'm so glad you, somebody, I don't know where I saw it. I saw it on a message. Somebody said, I reached out, I would talk to you, I knew her, and that's where I went and looked again. And so, you've kind of jerked my heart out today, though.
I'm sorry. It's emotional, and
well, it sounds like, even with the messages, even the messages that Kelsey had sent you, and now that how you're feeling, it almost sounds to me like her world kind of her friendship world even kind of revolved around the rodeo life for a time at least, and then she had the baby and kind of backed off. But that last encounter that you saw in September, that's pretty emotional. I mean, that's pretty telling of a situation that may have been in the making for sure.
It's very heart-wrenching. And I guess one thing I kind of forgot to mention was when Patrick was, like, really irate and kicked the dog and all of that, I got scared. I saw fear in Kelsey, and I told my fiance, go over there and talk to him. Make sure that he doesn't leave here. with her and that baby in that vehicle, upset. And when my fiance went over there, Patrick acted like nothing was wrong. Oh, hey, how you doing? You know?
Yeah. So it was real. It was real. It was a quick flip and back and forth, like the emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember everything so into detail. Like, I remember even when my fiance, like, turned to walk away from him, I remember Patrick, like, going from a smile to just, like, a snarl. Like, just turned and was pissed. Like, he was so mad. Yeah, I don't know how you could be so mad when you have a beautiful wife and a daughter. And
yeah. But, you know, it sounds like even the earlier story you said about his mother being real angry and bitter and kind of maybe there's even this jealousy or something. Maybe that was, you know, that's may just be in his makeup, you know, if he's around that all the time.
Yeah. I do know another friend that ropes with us, and she said that she dated Patrick's best friend growing up, and that they would all go to Patrick's house because, well, he had the horses and, you know, the room for bonfires, and it was kind of like the hangout spot. But she said something that sticks out to her now is that he was always pissed off and, like, taking off and beating on his animals. And I had reached out to her because she's the girl that Kelsey was talking to at that rope-in, the last one I had seen her at. And so I had reached out to this girl and I had said, hey, do you remember that last rope-in we'd seen Kelsey at? And do you remember anything being kind of out of picture or her being upset? And she said, yeah, now that I look back, I do. And she proceeded to tell me all of those things about Patrick. So
yeah,
that was kind of heart-wrenching too, you know, just to know that.
Do you know what her boyfriend's name was?
Whose boyfriend?
The best friend of Patrick or whatever that she dated?
She said his best friend's in high school, and if you want, I can maybe even find out what high school, if that would help now.
Well, I think he went to Woodland Park High School.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think that's where Patrick went to school. And he was in school with some other guys that or have been brought up, or different names have been brought up. So I was just wondering what the name of that best friend was. Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
For real.
Definitely.
I mean, I know that in these kind of situations, people don't have to talk, you know, but we may never get a closure. You know, we may never get the truth. We may never get the real story. We may never get what really happened. And so anyone but the world is captivated by Kelsey's story now. And for people like you that knew Kelsey, that had touched Kelsey, that had held the baby, that had been around them, especially since her life down here in Colorado, because that's thank you. Just thank you for giving Kelsey a voice.
Yeah, you know, at first I hesitated to speak to anybody. I've had news reporters and News 5, and they've all messaged me asking me to speak about Kelsey. And like I said, Kelsey's mom, she's had a hard time with all this, and the public eye is what makes it hard for her, and like the speculation. And I think part of it, you know, is just being religious and having that belief that God took care of everything. And, you know, people say, well, her family won't have peace or closure. And Kelsey's mom is screaming inside. She's saying, we do have closure, though, because the minute that she left this earth, her soul went to a good place.
I am absolutely in agreement with you that Kelsey is without pain and without suffering, and she is in a better place. For me, I really want to know that the right people are both served justice in this life and in the next.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, that's where I am at with the truth, because the facts will be forgotten when it's over, and the story will be told over and over and over, but justice won't ever be served until the truth is out.
The day after Kelsey had gotten missing, I told my fiance, let's go. Get in your truck. We're going to go waterboard Patrick.
Oh, no.
And I had told Kelsey's mom that, and I kind of made her chuckle, but it's really not a joke, but that was my feeling inside, is we're never going to get the truth out of him. He will never speak. He has made a profile for himself. You've heard people speak about him. He's a great man. He's a great horse farrier. He's this, he's that. But, somebody can put on a really good show and be like complete evil behind doors.
Absolutely. And I've said that from the start. Either I'm looking at a dad who's being wrongfully accused, or I'm looking at a monster. And if I'm looking at a monster, they can hang him in the streets of Cripple Creek, and they can put Crystal next to him for all I care.
Yeah.
And so I am so happy, though, that you have been able to, at least, even though the recent memory of Kelsey isn't the best and the situation wasn't the best, that you're still able to share that she was a ray of sunshine, that she was a ray of light, that she was a beautiful woman and a great mother. And
I know that Kelsey was scared when she found out that she was pregnant, because she wasn't engaged to him, and she had told her mom that they were. It was a really big mess, but Kaylee was such a blessing to her life, and I really wish that I could see her flourish into the mom that I know that she would have been. But I'll tell you what, when I see pictures of Cheryl with Kaylee, like the picture that she was holding her on the plane's wing.
Yep.
I see Kelsey in Cheryl. And I do believe that Kelsey's right there with them, and she will continue to guide Kaylee. I really do believe.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I believe with you and agree with you on all of that. That girl's got an incredible life ahead of her. She's got an incredible, she doesn't even fathom, there's no way she can possibly fathom the what she's been through already, and she's not even 2. Like, she will never be able to fathom the experience of the life that she had, even between her birth and 2 years of age. She will never be able to fathom that. But I believe with all my heart that this girl is going to have such an incredible blessing on her life, that she may be remembered as the daughter of the mother from Colorado, but she has her own story to write, and she has her own legacy to leave, and Patrick doesn't get to control that, and Patrick's mom's never going to get to control that, and so I believe that too.
Something we didn't talk about was Patrick's mom, but I 100% fully believe that she knew everything that was going on.
Well, I think why do you believe that?
Patrick lived with her. She, according to Kelsey, she was so far up Patrick's ass that Kelsey and Patrick never could do anything. And if that's true, she had to have known about Crystal. She had to have, kept this affair, whatever you want to call what they were doing, a secret. And I believe that, with Crystal being in town around Thanksgiving and all of that, I think she's just as much involved as all of them.
On top of that, she is refusing to speak, which...
Yeah, why would you not speak? especially if that was your, apparent going to be daughter-in-law.
If that's your granddaughter, why don't you speak?
Yes, that should be first and foremost.
Yeah,
a decent human being, if, say, 20 years from now, my son's dating somebody and she went missing, I would be all over trying to find my son's woman, I don't know. To me, I have a really hard time believing that she's just oblivious and just thinks Patrick's innocent. Like, no.
And so,
yeah, and Kelsey wanted Patrick to live with her. She wanted them to get their own place. He would not do it. He absolutely flat out refused. And the reason why she got the condo in Woodland Parker is that, that's where she got it at, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, she got that to be closer to work.
Gotcha.
And he wouldn't. He would not budge. He said, nope, I'm staying at Mommy's.
Yeah, that's just...
So, and a 30-some-year-old man, like you said, apparently, he's this great man and cowboy farrier, blah, 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 whatever. He's never built anything for himself. He literally has nothing.
Yep. No.
Just red flags all over it. His mom is... she raised a monster.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for speaking up.
Thank you for talking. And the only thing I want people to know about Kelsey is that she was a good woman. She really was, and I think that's why this whole thing has pulled at so many hearts all over the world.
Yep. It's always the angels.
You can look at her. And I swear she looks like an angel. Yeah. And the fact that he will try to stick to his word. I really don't believe he will ever say anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm so scared of. And I've said this to people that I believe he is very much involved. I am so confused by the story that's being told that if that's really what happened, I just hope they can physically prove it, because I feel like the only person that can tell that story is Crystal right now, and I don't believe Patrick is gonna say anything. I think he knows that he's smarter to stay quiet than he is to talk, and the only one that's
he has a name to hold up. There's people that really do respect him, and I think that he does not want to let those people down. He wants to carry his self-image as so. This is something I forgot to tell you. We have a mutual roping friend who lives here in Pueblo, and he's got his own arena and everything, so Patrick would come practice. And they were pretty close friends. But my fiance had asked him, what do you think about this whole deal with Patrick? I talked to him last night. And this was probably, I want to say, a couple weeks after Patrick had been taken into custody.
Oh, talk to him at the jail.
Yes. He says, I talked to him last night, and let me tell you, he's innocent. He didn't do it. She was running off, and she was doing drugs, and she's ran off on him several times. And I told my fiance, if you ever hear a story like that, just don't even tell me, because it's all bullshit.
Yeah, you just know. Yeah.
No way ever that type of person. I bet Kelsey never even tried drugs in her whole life.
Yeah. Well, the story of the Seventh-day Adventist would tell you that. Like, they are super, super religious. Super, super on top of that. And it makes sense even after you said, Kelsey didn't necessarily tell her mom everything. A lot of that is out of super respect for mom and dad, like this religious respect that if I tell my mom, I have the same problem with my parents. My parents are super religious, and there are things in my life that I don't tell my mom and dad out of respect, just out of respect, of their personal beliefs and stuff, And so that shows tremendous respect, even though maybe she wasn't being honest with mom about the relationship or how bad it was or the issues they were having.
She wanted to make her mom proud.
Yeah. What did Patrick say anything else to the other guy? She wants to know what else he said while he was in jail.
Yeah, that's really all my.
It's just lies. He's just making up stories. He's trying to build this. He's trying to keep this character of that he didn't do something is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, that's fine, Patrick. Whatever.
Yeah.
Try to act innocent, but don't break Kelsey's character down. Call it saying she was a drug addict and she had been to rehabilitation centers. Nobody who ever knew Kelsey would believe that.
Well, and that's even what the lady that I talked to that has known Patrick for 15 years, he had tried to have, heart-to-heart situations with her about when she got pregnant, which if Kelsey wasn't expecting to get pregnant, I'm sure she had some sort of emotion at that moment that she finds out she's pregnant, And so, but then when I asked her about, well, do you think Kelsey ever did this other stuff that Patrick is spreading about the drugs or this rehab and this, that, and the other? And she was like, no way, not a chance. Don't believe a word of it, And so, and she had met Kelsey, and so anyone that had met Kelsey is not buying into those lies for sure. So.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of Patrick's side or whatever, the people he does, the horses and stuff, and they say, oh, well, he always had Kaylee, and Kelsey was never around. That's because Kelsey had a very entailed job. She, thinking about Kelsey, if you met her, you would never expect that she was a pilot. I feel like pilots, they got to be hard-headed and oh, we're going to do this. She was just not the kind of person that you would expect for that.
Yeah. No, yeah, she didn't have the whole Top Gun feel or whatever. She was just a mild.
She loved her job, and the only reason why Kaylee was, of course, always with Patrick is because she was a good mom, and she did believe, that her daughter was safe with Patrick. They created her. She was the only other one, that she wanted to watch. Kaylee, like I said, she did ask me to babysit, but she does know that I have 3 children. She wouldn't ask me if she didn't trust me.
No. And she probably didn't ask. Yeah.
The fact that people try and say, oh, well, she never had the baby and she was always with Patrick. Yes, that's because Kelsey was a good mom.
So your total belief as far as why Patrick and Kelsey didn't live together was because Patrick wouldn't move away from mom.
Yes, I completely. That, when Kelsey would talk to me about her experience there, it's really weird, and I'm not saying that I'm psychic, please don't think that, but when Kelsey would talk to me about her weekends there and how she would yell at him to go tend to the animals and stuff, I could literally picture this ranch. And when I had seen it for the first time on the news and stuff like that, I was like, wow, stories that Kelsey had told me, she put them into such detail, and I truly believe that Patrick's mom made it hell for them to try and even have a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Kelsey said that, some of her best times with Patrick were going out with the cows and stuff because they didn't have to listen to her yell.
No. And then she was last seen with him just in September, about, right around, you saw her in September you saw her at a roping in September. She was with Patrick doing cows, not doing cows, but herding cows in September, working the cows on the lease. There's video footage of her doing that.
Yeah, that was one of her favorite spots to be because she didn't have to deal with Patrick's mom.
Yeah.
And,
no, I have a feeling that Mom. Well, I obviously believe Mom and KK, and I did you ever meet Patrick's brother?
No, and the only thing I've heard is that he had contact with him the day after. Is that correct?
Well, there's no on the 4th. I want to say on the 4th, on December 4th. So what is that? That's a few days. There's a couple of things. I think he had contact with him on Thanksgiving Day, and then on December 4th, he met with his brother to turn over his phone to law enforcement and facilitate kind of a swap with Patrick's phones to law enforcement. That's kind of the official story. I just didn't know.
I thought that they had an estranged relationship, and it's just really weird to me. Like, why did the brother have to be there for the phone exchange?
Well, yeah. So the brother. That's the story the DA has said is they use that word estranged, whatever, a strange relationship or whatever. And so, yeah, I have my own suspicions about the brother because he's real heavily involved in law enforcement, but I haven't really been able to find anyone that has ever seen, Bro and Patrick together on a regular basis, and so somewhat of that story is kind of corroborated. I don't know what their actual relationship was in private, whether they, or whether they gave this appearance of whatever. But I do know that whatever happened, it's been real calculated. It was real planned. It had been being planned for a little bit. And so with that, I don't count anything out. I don't count anyone out who could have been a part of this. I don't think it was just KK Patrick. I don't think it was just KK Patrick and the mother. I think there's too many pieces at play here that there is more to the story. But
and didn't they say that they had seen two men with Patrick at a landfill?
Yeah, so at the waste management plant here in Teller County, but that's just that's like a transfer station. So the trucks get full, they get thrown into another bigger truck and area, and so they saw him dumping stuff there. But that was after she was reported missing, and so at that point, I am very hesitant to believe that after she's been reported missing, after Patrick has already seen a lawyer, after Patrick has to believe he's a suspect, that he would do anything related to the murder and just go to the dump. I don't believe that. I'm not buying that, but people are buying it. People are saying they got some sort of evidence from there and different things they removed. Just to me, the way it seems planned and the little evidence we do have, I'm just like, how can you even believe he would do something that stupid? Especially when everyone knew who he was at this point, so.
Well, yeah, that's why I think it's a little strange that was mentioned. And then, that hasn't really been brought up since. So it's just like, well, if that did happen, who are those two men?
Yeah,
did they play a part,
And see, the thing we do know is that Patrick was about business as usual, because he was going and doing pony. I mean, he was going and shodding ponies and doing stuff at people's homes. So he was about his business, and he was already planting this story. If if people are telling the truth, because Pam Klein from Cripple Creek tells the story that he started telling them about how Kelsey had disappeared. And this was before she disappeared, you know, but he was starting to plant these stories that he's sticking to even now. And so there are some of those stories that have come out that are like, oh, he was painting this picture a month before it happened, or a month before she went missing, you know. And so it's hard.
He was telling people that she was already missing before she really was.
Not necessarily that, but you know, people were asking him about how him and his relationship were, or how he was voluntarily telling these people around that he would go shoe horses with kind of the same story he's telling his roping buddy. Oh, she had disappeared before. She was doing drugs. She had disappeared when right before the baby came, and all this stuff. He was saying, I had to take a paternity test, you know, to prove that this baby was mine, and all this stuff. He's not listed on the birth certificate. And so there's these different little things that had happened that kind of feed his story a little bit, but also, but they're not maybe they were broke up at some time. Maybe they had a little distance between each other, and then they got back together after the baby was born. I obviously believe that Kelsey would have done anything to make this relationship work. I really do, because of her religious upbringing, that she would have even married a man that she didn't want to marry because she felt so strong about it. And so, but maybe she got to a point and said, nope, I can't do it. No matter what my parents believe, no matter what my religious belief is, there's no way I'm marrying you, and there's no way you're going to. That could have driven him over the edge, and he involved all these other people after he had already been thinking about it. So there's so much that we don't know, but you know what you saw a month before.
Yeah.
You know, or a couple months before, September. You're the one who has the hamburger meat that came from Patrick that a month before. And so, like, you're the closest one that I've talked to that have actually been friends with him here in Colorado, to be honest with you. I've talked with professional people, like people he shoed horses for. But when your fiance's his team roping buddy, I understand that camaraderie, because I've been team roping. I grew up riding horses. I grew up around the rodeo, and so I understand the connection there, and I also understand the connection you would have with Kelsey at the rodeo, you know, because you were a familiar, you know, connection that she would come talk to. So it's crazy. It is crazy.
It is very crazy. It's still unbelievable to me that you know, and you say not to feel guilty and like I could have been a better friend, and like, but man, I think those feelings will always be with me.
Well, I think that's us as human nature, but you have to remember that there are those people that knew this was going to happen and they didn't even say anything. And that's where I would pray your guilt goes. I would pray that your guilt falls on the lawyers and the Crystals and the Melissas or Michelles or any other friends that knew Patrick was planning something and they didn't say anything.
Yeah, you're right.
And so you don't need to feel that guilt, especially since you've told the story of reaching out to Patrick right after this has all started. Kelsey, I guarantee that wasn't Patrick that sent that meat down there. That was Kelsey, because there's no way a man that I don't believe. I mean, I believe all that, but I don't want you to feel any of that. You know, you need to look at that hamburger meat and say that came from Kelsey. You know, don't say it came from Patrick, because it didn't. I don't believe that.
That does make sense. You know, that hamburger meat has fed our family, and so I do believe that came from her.
It came straight from her. Don't ever look at it any other way. Again, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
I know it's got to be exhausting.
You can use any part of this clip I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And you have a good night.
You have a good night too. You and your wife.
Thank you.
I really appreciate what you guys are doing. You know, it's good to see that you guys didn't even know Kelsey, and to just kind of try and put a story out there from both sides. I think it's the best thing that we can do right now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, and you have a good night, and hug your kids a little harder tonight.
Yeah, you too, Michael. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.